What is up, guys? Randomonium here. I am sorry I've been neglecting you guys, but I've been way too busy catching up on all the different regions for the LCS, LCK, LPL, LMS, because the regional qualifiers are done. The stage is set for the 2016 World Championship. This is your preview for that. I'm going to be breaking down the 16 teams that have made it to the World Championships. We're going to go through each one of the teams, talk about their chances to win, and we're going to talk about how the format for the group stage is going to break down. So let's get right into it. So there's going to be 16 teams. They're broken into Pool 1, Pool 2, and Pool 3 teams. You can see we've got 4 Pool 1 teams, 8 Pool 2 teams, and 4 Pool 3 teams. These 16 teams are going to be randomly selected and grouped into 4 different groups. Each group is going to be made up of 1 Pool 1 team, 2 Pool 2 teams, and 1 Pool 3 team. The only rule is that you can't have 2 teams from the same region in the same group. So, for example, TSM could not be in the same group as CLG or Cloud9. This ensures that all the regions get to play each other in the group stage and that no region gets lucky and gets one of their teams through the group stage just because, they have a stacked group with, all 3 teams in one group. So let's first talk about the LCK. This is Korea. These are the winners of MSI. They've won pretty much every single year for the World Championships. They've been a part of it. The Pool 1 team from Korea is ROX Tigers. They won the summer split, but we can't not talk about them without also talking about SK Telecom T1, 2-time World Championship, did fantastic at MSI, won MSI. I mean, they're legends, basically. They're the Pool 2 team. That's how good Korea is that T1 is the number 2 team from Korea. They're not the number 1 team from Korea this year. So they are the toughest Pool 2 team in the entire tournament by far. And then the third team from Korea is Samsung Galaxy. This is the same organization that had Samsung White, which won Season 4 World Championships. So another organization that has a World Championship under their belt. However, this team has definitely fallen very far from where they were in Season 4. They definitely struggled in Season 5, and it was a very huge surprise that they're making it to Worlds in Season 6. They wound up beating KT Rolster, which their organization had never beaten before, in Game 5. It was a fantastic series, so definitely watch it if you haven't. But they're definitely the third best team. They definitely can't compete with ROX Tigers or SK Telecom. From NA, the number 2 team at MSI, we have TSM. It's going to be our number 1 seed, Pool 1 seed. Pool 2 is going to be CLG, and Pool 3 is going to be Cloud9. I think everybody knows about TSM. They've been playing fantastic. They look like a Korean team. They train like a Korean team. They prepare like a Korean team. They look fantastic. I'm very excited to see how they perform on the world stage. NA has definitely underperformed in previous seasons, but now they're playing on their home turf. Hopefully they come to play. Hopefully they can have a repeat of the performance that we had at MSI, where CLG went all the way to the finals. But yeah, definitely some very strong teams coming from NA, so I'm very excited to see what happens. The LPL, that's China. We've got 2 very strong teams from China. We've got Edward Gaming's and we got Royal Never Give Up. Those 2 teams are both fantastic. They are world-class, definitely contenders to win the title this year. iMei is the 3rd team from China. They looked a bit shaky. They definitely don't look like they're at the same level as Edward Gaming or RNG. They probably will not make it out of the group stage, but they do have a shot, depending on how the group draw goes. But they're definitely not the same level as the other 2 Chinese teams. From the LMS, which is Taiwan, we've got Flash Wolves and we've got AHQ. These are the guys that are pretty much always in the worlds from that region. Flash Wolves looked very good at MSI. They definitely dominated the region. They're definitely the best team from Taiwan. They've got a pretty decent shot making it out of the group stage, depending on how the draft goes. But they actually took EU's Pool 1 spot. Because Flash Wolves performed better than EU or G2 at MSI, Flash Wolves now has a Pool 1 spot instead of a Pool 2 spot, which means that they will have an easier draw theoretically in the group stage. AHQ definitely looked dominant in their regional qualifier, but they're just not as good as Flash Wolves, and I definitely think that they're going to have a much harder road. They are a Pool 2 team, so they could face against some much stiffer competition. From EU, we've got 3 teams from EU. We've got G2, H2K, and Splice. Because of the MSI performance, the first 2 teams from EU are going to be both Pool 2 teams. They don't get a Pool 1 team. The 3rd seed from EU is a Pool 3 team, which will be Splice. G2 definitely has something to prove. I think G2 is definitely by far the best team from EU. They really need to make up for kind of the embarrassment that they had at MSI. I definitely expect them to be, boot camping pretty hard in preparation for the World Championships. But they've got a lot to prove, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing them come out strong. H2K and Splice. I do feel like Splice is the better team than H2K. H2K got in on how many points they had, but Splice is going to have a very difficult draw because they are a Pool 3 team, so they're going to be going up against some pretty stiff competition, and both H2K and Splice are probably going to have to upset somebody in order to make it out of the group stage. It's going to be very difficult. From the international wildcard, we have INTZ from Brazil, and we've got Albus Nox from Russia. Both these teams won through the IWC. They played well, but they don't look like they're at the same level as some of the other teams. Definitely saw a lot of major macro mistakes coming out of these teams. Mechanically, they're very skilled, but they're not at the same level from a macro standpoint as you would see from the top teams from the other regions. So we don't know exactly how the group draw is going to go down. It's going to be completely randomized, and you can watch that on Saturday. This coming Saturday, they'll be showing it online. But based off of just the strength of the teams, this is how I feel the probability is going to be for each team to get out of the group stages. I'll have some more concrete predictions for you guys once the group draw actually happens. But in my mind, Rox Tigers, SK T1 Telecom, Edward Gaming, and RNG are pretty much guaranteed to make it out of the group stage. They're definitely the best teams. They're definitely the favorites to win. I think that those teams, regardless of who their opponents are in the group stage, they will make it out of the group stage. I know that China performed very poorly last year at the World Championships. I don't think they're going to make that mistake again this year. Next on my list, I've got TSM and Flash Wolves. In my mind, these are the next tier of teams right beneath the Koreans and the Chinese. As long as TSM and Flash Wolves don't get stuck in a really nasty group with the Koreans and the Chinese, they should be able to make it out of the group stage and move on to the knockout stage. The next tier below them that I feel are Samsung Galaxy and G2. These guys could make the cut if they wind up in an easier group, but if they wind up in a harder group, they're probably going to wind up in that 3rd place spot and not make it into the knockout stage. So luck needs to be on their side a little bit, and they need to probably upset at least one of the teams that is rated higher than them. The next tier down from them is CLG, IMA, and AHQ. These are the teams that, if all of the groups wind up being fairly balanced, I don't think that these teams will make the final cut. But if they get a lucky draw or they are able to get an upset, there's a possibility that they could make it out of the group stage. It's not completely out of the realm of possibility. It's just going to be a very uphill road for them to make it out of the group stage. And then in the final bracket, the teams I think are going to have the hardest time are going to be Cloud9, Splice, H2K, INTZ, and Albus Nox. So these teams are going to be facing some of the best teams in the world. They got kind of screwed being kind of the lower seeds, being put into the Pool 3s. It's going to be a really huge uphill battle for them. I don't think that any Pool 3 team has ever made it out of the group stage before. I'm not saying it's an impossible, but they just have to upset multiple top-tier teams, and the likelihood of that happening is very slim. So definitely stay tuned. Definitely watch the group draw. That's going to happen on Saturday. I'll be posting another video with my predictions for the groups once we figure out which teams are going to be in which groups. But I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you like the content on the channel and you want to see more of these videos, please subscribe. But I hope you all have a great day. This is Randomonium signing off.